I think Marques Johnson's with us now. MJ is with us. Marques, I tried to download this thing on my computer. I had a heck of a time, so I finally just decided I had to use the phone. That's why it looks like I'm broadcasting from a periscope on a submarine. But how are you doing? Where are you at?
I'm at home, man. You see my Wooden Award in the background. I got a couple of Emmy Awards back
at your office.
To my right, just flossing a little bit, but I'm at home.
Can you like move it a little closer? Can we like take a look at your office there? It's much better than I'm in my kitchen. Yeah, there you go. Bring it over. There it is.
Yeah, I'll just sit that in my lap here. This is like
Player of the Year.
I enjoy right there.
Won the champ 4 years at UCLA. Won the championship your sophomore year, was it?
Yeah, 1975. That was John Wooden's last year.
Yeah, and 10 championships for Wooden.
10 out of 12 years. That was his 10th and final. We beat Louisville, who was coached by Denny Crum, a former Wooden assistant, and Junior Bridgman and Wesley Cox and some really, really good players on that team. But it was funny, Kevin, playing them. They ran the same high post. It was like playing a mirror image of ourselves, and it was an overtime game. But the story of that game, they had a kid by the name of Terry Howard, who was 28 for 28 from the free throw line. We fouled him. I think Louisville was up by 1. If he hits 2 free throws, it was a 1-and-1. They iced the game. There's no 3-point shot back in those days. He missed the front end of the 1-and-1. We were able to win that game on a last-second shot by Richard Washington. I heard from Derek Smith that years later, when Louisville won another championship, a few years later, they had another player on their team who was perfect from the free throw line going into the tournament, and Denny made him miss a free throw intentionally the last game of the season because he did not want that situation to happen again. So we were fortunate, but you need a little bit of luck in this business, as you know, to kind of reach the pinnacle and to be on top. One thing I want to mention, Jamal Crawford, Kevin, he's one of the greatest guys.
Absolutely.
We were the Hoop Fest in Seattle and actually broadcast his game, Rainier Beach, when he was a senior at Rainier Beach High School. When I saw him playing high school basketball, 6'5", handles, flair, shot, everything, total package. I'm like, this dude here is going to be a star. And he's one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
In Seattle, I reached out to him. I asked him if he could work out with my son, Cyrus, who was about 15 at the time. He brought him over to wherever they have his summer league, the college there in Seattle. Took him down to the basement workout room that they have and spent like 2 hours walking him through and talking to him. And that was one of the highlights of Cyrus' life. So Jamal, talk about Hall of Fame. I really think he has a chance. Won't be a first ballot guy, but from all the stuff that he has done, the 4-point plays and, the overall consistency and the kind of guy he is, I'd love to see him eventually get that kind of recognition.
Multiple 50-point games with, I want to say, 4 franchises. We didn't get to that point in the interview, but I think 4 different franchises where he's had 50 or better. And we were going through the litany of the terrific players that he has played with. And, just to start in basketball with Chicago being one of 8 rookies on that team that year that won 15 games with Tim Floyd as the head coach in a rebuilding phase, and then playing in New York, obviously, and playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. But you Marques, I think you have such a unique view of the game because I think of the era in which you grew up, and in the early late 70s, coming of age in Los Angeles in the late 60s. You've told me some remarkable stories about growing up in the same neighborhood with some luminaries, some stars, growing up in Los Angeles, California. Talk a little bit about that, about the culture at that time in Los Angeles and coming of age as a teenager in LA.
Well, I love going down memory lane, trekking down memory lane, and it started out in deep in South Central Los Angeles at a park called Sportsman's Park. They changed the name to Jesse Owens Park years ago. But this was a park where Venus and Serena's father, Richard, would come and pick up basketball back in those days. His nickname was Monday. They called him Monday. Don't ask me why. I don't know, because he always up on Monday. But my elementary school buddy was James Lofton. So we walked to school every day together. We played all kinds of sports together. His strength was football, obviously, and track. Mine was basketball. But he tells a story, Kevin, about a game when my dad was coaching us, and we were about 9 years old. And for some reason, my dad and I were late getting to the park. And so we get there at halftime, and we're down 21-1. And James tells this story, and I remember it vaguely, but he remembers it really well. But he says we wound up winning like 27-23, and he said I had like all 26 points in the second half after I got there. But James was a remarkable young man, athlete, and just to watch him and his path, we kind of diverged after I moved to an area called View Park. Now this is the largest or the most the richest predominantly Black neighborhood in America, one of the top 5 or 10 in America. And so my first month or so playing after school sandlot football, I was quarterback, and my right end is Ray Charles Jr. and my left end is Ike Turner Jr. That's the kind of I'm playing quarterback. I can't throw a lick, but this is the kind of athletes and kind of celebrities that we had in that neighborhood. And then Judy Pace, who was the first African-American actress to star in a nighttime series, Peyton Place. You remember Peyton Place back in the days on ABC?
Oh, yeah.
She was the young, beautiful Black woman. She lived right across the street from me. Her nephew and I were best of friends. Oscar Brown Jr., great folk singer, terrific writer of music, but he was also living there in that same. It was just an eclectic era, eclectic time to grow up. And and once we moved from South Central up into the hills, the View Park was up in the hills. It was the original Olympic Village for the 1932 Olympic Games. So you had street names like Vista de Oro and Olympiad Drive and you know, just really poetic names, but beautiful homes, swimming pools, the whole shot. And once we moved up there, it was just like a dream come true. And I had such a great upbringing. And athletically, I really believe that all those hills, riding up and down hills, we'd run around the block and run up and down steep hills. We're talking about 70, 45, 50-degree hills we were running up all the time. I really believe helped me in my legs and helped me as an athlete. But the most important thing was that it just was a terrific upbringing, and so terrific, as a matter of fact, that I bought 2 homes. My ex-wife has one, I got one. But I still live here. I've been here since 1967. And to put a period on it, my son Josiah, my second son, we've actually written a pilot about the gentrification of this area. When we got here in '67, it was about 60-40 Black to white. Within 10 years, it was 90% African American. Then after that, it was high as 95, 97% African American. All the whites kind of moved out to the valley and in the Inland Empire. Now, over the last 10 years or so, white people are coming back. They're coming back because the property values are great, and it's a great place to live. It's centrally located, 10 minutes from the beach, 15 minutes from UCLA, 15 minutes from downtown. For me, 12 minutes from the airport, which I love. So anyway, it was just a great upbringing, and I was fortunate to have 2 parents, 2 teachers, big on education, and their thing was to have all of us graduate from UC, University of California campuses, and all myself and 4 of my sisters, it's either UC Santa Barbara or UCLA. You all attended, so their dream was realized.
What was the determination for your parents that, you were born in Louisiana? Did they move up from Louisiana?
Born in Louisiana. My dad was a great high school coach in Louisiana at Natchitoches Central High School, same school that Joe Dumars attended years later. But just opportunity. My dad had come out to California when he was in the military. He was stationed in Alameda, and he just loved the West Coast and felt like he was going to move the family out here. And so when he wanted to make the move, my mom was a little hesitant because it was just a new thing, a new deal. It was a big African-American migration in the early 60s. I had a lot of cousins and relatives that had moved. A lot of Black people from the South moved to California from Louisiana. A lot of them from Mississippi, Alabama moved Midwest to Chicago and Gary, Indiana, those areas. And so we moved to California. And so my dad told, look, I'm going to LA. And my mom was like, I don't know if this is the right time, Jeff. He's like, well, you can stay here if you want to, but I'm going to LA. So she had to pack up and come with him. But no, it was, and it was because of the climate. There was segregated swimming pools. I can remember a Santa Claus Christmas parade down on the Red River Walk. Steel Magnolias, the movie, was shot in Natchitoches. So it's a beautiful city, lights, and the whole deal during Christmas. And Santa Claus came down the middle of the street, black kids on one side, white kids on the other, and he threw candy to the white side of the street only. And I remember I'm 3-4 years old, and I remember asking my mother, "Where's my candy?" And she just like didn't really have an answer for me. But I can remember those kinds of things. A swimming pool, there was black side, there was a white side, just things like that that existed that my parents wanted us. Now, don't get me wrong, Los Angeles, the West Coast has its racism, cops, and everything else, but they just felt that this would be a much better opportunity for us, especially educationally.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I was asking Jamal the same things, like how'd you end up in Seattle? And he's a legacy, I think 3rd, 4th generation in Seattle, just loving the coast and loving kind of the openness of the West Coast, open to all possibilities and all people.
Well, look, Jamal's dad, Clyde Crawford,
played Oregon, right?
At Dorsey High School. I attended Dorsey in 1970 as a sophomore. He had been gone for maybe 2 years, but he was a legend. Clyde Crawford was a legend when I got there. He had got a scholarship, I believe, to Oregon. And so I
played with Kevin Love.
Yeah. So Clyde Crawford was an LA icon basketball wise, and I think Jamal was here for a minute, and then his mom got him out here, which was probably the best thing.
What was broadcasting games from a studio like this year? The quote unquote off campus bubble.
Yeah. I mean, we were right in the Bucks locker room, right? So we set up our deal right in the Bucks locker room.
Okay.
So enough room to socially distance between me and Jim Plaschke, my broadcast partner. They were really sticklers for just keeping that mask on the whole time. As soon as you walk in there, put your mask on, and you had to keep the mask on until you went on the air. But for us, had a couple of big monitors to the right, and it was actually not bad. The bathroom is right there. For us getting at this age, that bathroom run is important. And
it's a luxury.
Yeah, bathroom timeout. I could, just right to the team locker room. But it gave us a dedicated location with Giannis's locker behind me and Chris Middleton, and I think it added a nice touch for the local fans in Milwaukee. So it really wasn't bad. Now you miss, obviously, you know how it is, being on the floor, seeing the interaction between the players, between the coaching staff and the players, the ambiance of the fans, and the whole bit. I really missed that. But other than that, I thought the league did a fantastic job of kind of what they could do, piping in the sound and the ambiance and the ambient noise and all that kind of good stuff. So wouldn't want to do it permanently, don't get me wrong, but for what it was and under the circumstances, I think we probably did as well a job as we could have.
So what break down the team? What happened in the bubble to the Milwaukee Bucks this year?
Well, see, the bubble wasn't for everybody, brother. The bubble wasn't for everybody. You get that bubble. Well, just think about it. All these teams are there together. You're not getting from anybody. So you're passing by guys, going to the pool or at dinner or whatever, and they're talking trash. Giannis probably, MVP, right? You can't even shoot a jump shot. All that stuff is going on. So it's all that kind of mind games. Mm-hmm. We had a game against the Brooklyn Nets, and once they beat us, Garrett Temple told the media after the game that they had talked to the Houston Rockets and they had shared information on how to beat our defense, and they put that into play against us and were very successful. I think they knocked down close to 21, 22 3-pointers against us. So you had all that stuff going on. You had the isolation. These guys, those maids in housekeeping started looking real good about that about that 4th week. It's like, man, I didn't realize she was just beautiful, away from their loved ones, away from their family. It's isolation. So it was a tough mental challenge. And what tipped me off that we were going to struggle, Kevin, really was that in the non-playoff games, when they finished out the regular season, the 8 games that we played, we lost to New Orleans after being up big in the 4th quarter. We lost to the Brooklyn Nets. We were struggling against some really, really marginal teams. And so we kept trying to think that, well, maybe they'll pull it together, they'll get it together. And my concern was, and I said this all along on the broadcast, that if we can get by, I said Miami's going to be our toughest opponent. We can beat Boston, we can beat a lot of these teams, but if we have to play Miami, we're going to be in trouble because they got Jimmy Butler, who is as tough as they come. And he showed that in that series against us, showed it all throughout the playoffs, especially in the championship series against the Lakers. But I just thought Bledsoe came down with the virus, coronavirus. He missed some time. George Hill didn't want to be there. He wanted to be out protesting and involved in the social consciousness issues.
Yes.
You know, we were the team that boycotted the game against the Orlando Magic, which was crazy. Just that game, because we were waiting for the team to come on the floor. And our producer got in my ear and said, "Hey guys, the Bucks are out. The Bucks are not warming up. I don't think they're coming out." And so,
so you had no idea.
Yeah, they had no.
I didn't know that.
5 minutes before game time,
you had no idea.
Pre-game show, like everything is everything. I'm doing my analysis and all that, and then our producer Dan Keener got in my ear and said, "Just to alert you guys, the Bucks, the Bucks are still." Oh
my gosh! And
that's when I told Jim Paschke. I said, "Man, they're not coming out." He said, "Well, maybe they're going to delay it and make a statement like, you know." I said, "No, they're not coming out. I just feel like they're going to take this opportunity because we were up. I think it was a 3-1 or something series. We had a game that kind of, game that we had a game to play with, and so so that we didn't find out until 5 minutes before tip off, and so then we have to fill an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. But it was cool because we talked about myself, Zora Stevenson, our excellent sideline reporter, Tim Paschke. He did a great job of just kind of running traffic. We just talked about our experiences, and it turned out to be the fans of Milwaukee really responded well to it and thought that it was a powerful kind of example of some of the things that we had gone through personally. And Zora talked about her dad when he was growing up and a lot of good stuff. So it actually worked out okay, but it was it was not the easiest broadcast in the world.
Your impression of what the Lakers were able, given all that environment you just talked about, having to clear those hurdles, the kind of mileage that LeBron has logged over the years at the age of 35. And even though AD is a great player, still that doesn't guarantee that they're going to be simpatico and immediately click. Yeah. But break down, if you would, and kind of relate to the average fan what it was the Lakers achieved this year and what LeBron achieved this year.
Well, and again, going into the playoffs, there was all this talk about, well, maybe there should be an asterisk behind the winner's name, and I think there should be, but because this was one of the toughest challenges, I believe, in the history of the league. When you think about the league shutting down in mid-March, 4 months, you had a longer break before play resumed than you do an off season during normal times. So these guys are sitting out for 4 months, and then now you got to get back into it. And the Clippers found out. I mean, again, that bubble dynamic was a tough dynamic. It was the intensity, the pressure, just being around each other, just being cooped up for that amount of time. And for LeBron at his age, the way he is taking care of his body is just remarkable in terms of the things that he can still do. He's still the fastest man on the floor, the way he can still elevate and turn vertical into horizontal just at the blink of an eye. He's just amazing. But the way he is able to coalesce a team like that, that's the thing. I mean, KCP had a great series. Danny Green played great defensively, didn't knock down his shot. Rondo, he came through and just really provided whatever was needed down the stretch. And I think even Anthony did. When you got LeBron to play off of, as you know, I mean, the pressure of having to try and carry a team. Mm-hmm. See, I had Paul George, and I love Paul George. Don't get me wrong, but he's not that guy that I want to depend on. He can win you a game or two in a series like that. But LeBron is a guy that's going to do whatever it takes each and every night. And for him to assert his will on that series, the way he was able to do in his 15th, 16th year, whatever it is, 35 years old, was just remarkable to watch. And then you factor in the bubble and the dynamics of the coronavirus and everything else involved in it.
Yeah.
It was an amazing accomplishment on his part, on the Lakers' part. And look, Frank Vogel, you got to give him a lot of credit.
Yes.
He started Dwight Howard against Denver when he needed to. pulled him out of the lineup against the Miami Heat, went more perimeter oriented, started Caruso, and that had people out in LA up in arms. Caruso started, what the hell is he doing? It was the right move because you don't mess with your bench rotate. He's made little moves like that I thought were fantastic. The way he played and mixed up the defenses and all the moves that he made all the right moves, and it was a perfect storm for the Lakers. And look, you throw on top of that Kobe Bryant passed away, late January. And so it was almost like poetic justice for the Lakers in this year of everything going on that the Lakers were able to pull it out. And like they say, they did it for Kobe.
Hey, Marques, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. And let's do it again soon.
Anytime, bro. Sounds good, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care.
You too.
I'll talk to you.
All right.
Okay.